On the news, PDP NAS caucus declares support for Tinubu's re-election. Ghana deports 231 Nigerians engaged in cybercrime. And Nigerian government reaffirms commitment to end insurgency in Borno State. Many thanks for joining us on the news on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Tamilore Akinkolye. We begin with party matters where former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has defended his recent political engagements, insisting that politicians have the right to associate freely amid growing tensions within the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Reacting to criticism over his visit to former President Muhammadu Buhari in Kaduna, Atiku dismissed the backlash as hypocritical, noting that several PDP leaders have also engaged with President Bola Tinubu without similar outrage. Atiku also launched a direct attack on Tinubu's government, accusing it of fueling division to mask his failures. He argued that the administration has no achievements to defend and only thrives on chaos and division. The comment comes as Tinubu aides mock the PDP defections as the end of Atiku's 2027 presidential ambition, a narrative Atiku dismissed, insisting that the real struggle is about rescuing Nigeria from what he termed as a government in free fall. Meanwhile, members of Rivers State Caucus and the National Assembly has declared their support for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu in 2027. They also called on those aspiring to contest for the country's #1 position in the national election to shelve their ambitions, stating that Tinubu's renewed hope agenda remains the surest path to Nigeria's prosperity and progress. The caucus, comprising 2 senators and 7 members of the House of Representatives and all members of the People's Democratic Party, said their position is based on the visible successes of Tinubu's agenda, which they described as working and on course. The River NAS caucus made the declaration in a statement they all signed, which was read on their behalf by Senator Barry Impigi in Port Harcourt on Saturday. They also lauded Tinubu's economic policies, saying that they are aimed at repositioning the country's ailing economy, among other achievements. And to security matters, the Nigerian government says it is intensifying effort to completely stamp out insurgency in Borno State before the end of the year. Minister of Defense Mohammed Badari Abubakar made this known during a high-level visit to Maiduguri, where he had led the federal delegation to assess the security situation in the region. Now, correspondent Solomon Josiah gives us more details in this next report.
The high-level visit to Maiduguri comes amid a recent spike in Boko Haram activities, particularly in remote parts of Borno State, raising fresh concerns among residents and security agencies. Addressing journalists during the visit, the Minister of Defense, Mohammed Badari Abubakar, said the trip was aimed at getting first-hand insight into the evolving security challenges and crafting new strategies to counter emerging threats. The minister disclosed that President Bola Tinubu has directed the ministry to deploy necessary personnel, equipment and logistics to fast-track efforts towards restoring lasting peace in the region. He further assured that the federal government remains resolute in its commitment to supporting the resettlement of displaced communities and bringing normalcy back to the affected areas.
We will provide all that is needed to make sure you achieve your aim of relocating people back to the various towns and engage in their various professional businesses and families. The President gave us that assurance and also asked us to assure you that he will not relent until we have seen the end of this ugly trend. And we are committed. And we have seen we are committed, and we will put a serious watch on this theater and get report daily to make sure that they get all they need to fight this war and end it.
Responding to the minister's remark, Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Azulum expressed optimism that the fight against insurgency is nearing a decisive turning point. He pledged the state government's full cooperation with the Ministry of Defense, but highlighted critical challenges hampering ongoing operations, including limited manpower and inadequate funding. Governor Zulum also drew attention to a new trend where insurgents are reportedly regrouping in difficult terrains, such as the Tumbu waters, calling for an urgent boost in naval and aerial support.
We need more air power. I'm aware of the constraint that we are facing in terms of getting access to helicopters and others. But attack helicopters are very important in these areas. Drones are very important. The last attack that we had in Boko was carried out by Boko Haram and Israel, was with the support of armed drones. It's a confirmed statement. They hit the MNJTF headquarters with armed drones. So this is the time that the Nigerian military will rise again to procure more drones, sophisticated drones and anti-drones, so that we shall get rid of these problems.
In a sign of progress, Governor Zulum announced that over 30 communities are now ready for resettlement, a significant milestone in the recovery and rehabilitation of conflict-affected areas.
I want to assure you that the government of Borno State, under my distinguished leadership, will continue to render the needed support to the Nigerian military with a view to ending the insurgency. Security is everybody's business. So we must put heads together in ensuring that the situation is reduced to the barest minimum. The military-civil relationship is very important. This is one way that we can address this crisis.
With renewed collaboration between federal and state authorities, expectations are high that Borno State could soon usher in a new era of peace, stability, and development. Solomon Josiah, TV360, Borno.
The National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has received 204 Nigerians repatriated from Ghana, including 27 individuals identified as suspected traffickers. The returnees were handed over to NAPTIP under Nigerians in Diaspora Commission (NIDCOM) by the Government of Ghana Trade's Office of Economic and Organized Crime Office, arrived to Nigeria following a major crackdown on a woman trafficking and cybercrime syndicate uncovered in a gated estate in Ghana. Our correspondent Comfort Samuel has more details in this next report.
The deportees are mainly young men in their 20s. Among them are 4 women, all of them believed to have been victims of trafficking. Some had spent years in captivity, used for cyber fraud by a syndicate operating from Nigeria. An official of Ghana's Economic and Organized Crime Office, who accompanied the victims back to Nigeria and handed them over to NAPTIP, detailed the operation that led to the crackdown on the criminal syndicates.
We received a complaint from an informant alleging that a group of people suspected to be Nigerians have brought in victims to their apartments, and that they are using them to engage in prohibited cyber activities. So they called on the office to assist in their arrest and then prosecution. So we had to do a lot of field verification or surveillance to identify which of the houses were being used to perpetrate the crime that was alleged in the petition. And as part of the verification, we were able to identify all the 26 houses. So we decided to strike to strike all the 26 houses simultaneously. So we embarked on an operation that we named Operation Rescue Shield. So the operation that brought about this whole numbers you are seeing here is called Operation Rescue Shield. And that is exactly a week today. By 3:30 a.m., we were at the estate with a group of men, from the National Security and then the Ghana Police Service. So we were able to conduct a search into all the 26 houses that we identified. And after that, we arrested. By that time, we didn't know who was a victim and who was a suspect. So we arrested close to 233 individuals. Then they were brought to the office for screening. It was after the screening that we realized that these were the suspects and then these were the victims.
Also speaking, the NAPTIP zonal commander in Lagos confirmed that all victims will be thoroughly profiled, while the suspect will be transferred to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) for further investigation.
After profiling them, we ensure that we take them through our reintegration and rehabilitation processes, but we send them their names to our headquarters, and that is why we told them they should drop their real names and correct phone numbers, so that in collaboration with their various state governments, the NAPTIP as an agency will be able to do the needful for them. That is their reintegration and rehabilitation pathway to society.
On her part, the chairman of NITCOM encouraged the returnees to hold their heads high and not feel ashamed of their experiences, emphasizing that they were victims of trafficking.
If these boys know what they were going to do, they would not have gone. So it's not about, we know government must play its own role and enabling an environment for jobs to be created. But if you know that this is what you're going to go through, you will not go. IOM, International Organization for Migration, is already getting tired of bringing Nigerians back. So we really have to put a stop to it. The traffickers have to be named and shamed. We should see them the way we see drug traffickers and show their faces. They're evil people. And then massive awareness campaigns, and their families are always involved. If you ask, most of those that come, I received 4 just last week, girls. It was their aunties or an uncle that, sold them to somebody. So please, massive awareness is very much needed.
Some of the victims shared their experience, explaining how they got lured into a criminal enterprise they were initially ignorant of.
I was in search of a job online, so I met with someone, Victor. He was the one who paid my transport to Ghana and asked me to come for a job because I was carpenter expert, so I thought I was going there to do carpentry work. After I get there, he paid my transport. After I get there, I got to the house. I saw that everything changed, not as planned. They locked the door and give me computer to start hustling for them. But I thank the Ghana embassy for coming to our rescue on time.
The victims and suspects will now undergo further screening and rehabilitation, while investigations continue into the wider trafficking network believed to be operating across West Africa. Comfort Samuel, TV 360 News, Lagos.
And the Akwetu of Ikwetumodo in Osun State, Oba Joseph Oloyede and Nigerian Pastor Edward Oluwasomi are facing possible imprisonment in the United States after pleading guilty to charges of COVID-19 relief fraud. The duo, who appeared before Justice Christopher Boko at the U.S. District Court of Ohio, admitted to submitting falsified applications to fraudulently obtain $4.2 million in COVID-19 relief funds meant for struggling businesses. Court document reveals that they used fake tax and wage document between April 2020 and February 2022, violating U.S. federal laws under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief and Economic Security Act. Oba Oluyede, a U.S.-based accountant before becoming a monarch in 2019, allegedly operated the scheme through companies such as Available Tax Service and Available Transportation Company, while Oluwasomi used companies like Dayspring Transportation Limited to divert the funds for personal expenses. Now, following their guilty pleas, sentencing has been scheduled for July the 2nd, 2025. And the Senate Committee on Tertiary Institutions and TED Fund, led by Senator Muntari Danduse, has commended the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board (JAMB) for its robust surveillance systems and proactive measures during the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. Committee members personally visited several examination centers in Abuja, praising the peaceful conduct observed and urging students to shun any form of malpractice. The committee reiterated its willingness to support legislative changes aimed at strengthening anti-malpractice laws and further enhancing the integrity of examination process.
If you look at it, it's well prepared and it is very satisfied. What they are doing it in batches because of the number of intakes, those that are going to write the exams. I think today they have 3 batch and the first batch is almost finishing. So the second batch are the ones on the queue so that they can enter and write the exams. So it's commendable and it's well arranged and well prepared. We want to appreciate the effort of the registrar of JAMB, who is highly transparent and very commendable in terms of what he has done. He has bring transparency and also sanity in all the exams and practices in the JAMB setup. So we are commendable for what he has done.
To Health Matters, to commemorate the 2025 World Malaria Day and Galivian's actions against malaria, the Lagos State Ministry of Health has led a public awareness campaign and strategic stakeholders engagement in Alausa, Ikeja. The event, organized in collaboration with the Society for Family Health and Good Night Nigeria, gathered major health stakeholders and partners under the theme "Malaria Ends with Us: Reinvest, Reimagine and Reignite." Now, TV360 correspondent Okbayemi Owosheni brings us more details in this next report.
The Lagos State government has taken a bold step towards ending malaria with this year's World Malaria Day activities. The day began with a colorful awareness walking through the Secretariat and Alausa community, involving health workers, volunteers and partners. Educational flyers were shared and residents were engaged in malaria prevention strategies. The awareness campaign culminated at the conference hall of the Folami Koka Staff Clinic, where the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, disclosed that Lagos is now at 1.3% malaria prevalent and fast approaching pre-elimination as defined by the World Health Organization.
It becomes important for us now to educate the public that if you have a fever and you think you have malaria, the most important thing for you to do is to test. And testing is available at all our public health facilities, primary and secondary, and across all accredited private healthcare hospitals and clinics. It is important that we know your status because we're collecting the data, and it is our policy to take Lagos now to what we call pre-elimination, which is less than 1%. And our recent research data, very early data, but it's very robust, suggests that we're sitting at 1.3%, which means with a little bit more effort, we can get down to less than 1%.
Special advisor to the governor on health reinforced the need for behavioral change and applauded development partners for their role in public awareness and mosquito control.
Prevention is better than cure. So we're encouraging people to use mosquito nets, to clean the areas, the gutters, any kind of like stagnant water around. We all know how the mosquito breeds. And just keep your environment clean because it's very, very important. It's one thing to take malaria drugs, another thing to actually prevent that malaria. So prevention is actually the best way that we want to move forward. And of course, people will always get malaria. Then we will treat, we'll test, and then we will treat.
In terms of going by the team, reinvest through the support of the World Bank, and the SFH is providing training to healthcare providers, both in primary and secondary healthcare facilities, to be more equipped knowledge-wise to deal with incidences of malaria at the facility level. Then also at the community level, SFH, through its resource persons, are enlightening the community as regards. It takes two to tango, not just government alone, but also people at the community level to be aware of malaria.
Brand manager of Goodnight Nigeria, Oluwatimileyin Dada, echoed the company's mission to reduce mosquito bites through household products, encouraging residents to adopt proven mosquito control solutions.
This year's theme is Malaria Ends With Us. Goodnight is committed to supplying the products that would ensure that malaria menace doesn't continue in Nigeria. Our mission is to bring the goodness of health and beauty to consumers, and we do that by giving consumers meaningful and impactful products, one of which is Goodnight. So this year we are all out in full force to fight against the menace of malaria in Nigeria.
With Lagos State recording its lowest malaria prevalence rate in history, the message is clear: the fight against malaria is winnable, but it will take sustained commitment, smarter testing, responsible treatment, and collective action. Okpeyemi Owosheni, TV360 News, Lagos.
It's time for a short break, but still to come on news now. World Beast Pope Francis' final farewell as his body is laid to rest in Santa Maria. We'll bring you details of the story right after this break. Welcome back. Now let's give you a quick recap of some of our top stories. Members of the River State Caucus and the National Assembly has declared their support for the re-election of President Bola Tinubu in 2027. They also called on those aspiring to contest for the country's #1 position and the national election to shelve their ambitions, stating that Tinubu's renewed hope agenda remains the surest path to Nigeria's prosperity and progress. We also told you that the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has received 204 Nigerians repatriated from Ghana, including 27 individuals identified as suspected traffickers. The returnees, who were handed over to NAPTIP and the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission by the government of Ghana through its Office in Economic and Organized Crime Office, arrived to Nigeria following a major crackdown on a woman trafficking and cybercrime syndicate undercovered in a gated estate in Ghana. Now, in case you missed any of the news bulletin or for more updates, you can catch us on Lime's World TV and AVO TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. Welcome back. And on business, WhatsApp has disagreed with the Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal's ruling in favor of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, FCCPC. The organization disclosed this in a statement made available to newsmen on Saturday in Lagos. It said that it would urgently apply to stay the order and appeal the ruling of Nigeria's Competition and Consumer Protection Tribunal against it. The reaction from WhatsApp follows the tribunal's decision on Friday, which upheld the $220 million penalty initially imposed on it by the FCCPC. And on the foreign scene, Uganda has officially declared the end of its latest Ebola outbreak 3 months after the first case emerged in the capital, Kampala. The Ministry of Health announced the milestone on Saturday via its official X account, calling it a good news and confirming that 42 days had passed without new infections since the last patient was discharged. The latest outbreak caused by the Sudan strain of the virus was detected on January 30th this year when a male nurse contracted the virus and later died. The strain has no approved vaccine. And Pope Francis was laid to rest on Saturday inside his favorite church in Rome, following a solemn funeral mass in St. Peter's Square. The 88-year-old pontiff, who passed away on Monday, was buried during a 30-minute ceremony at the Santa Maria Basilica, where Cardinal sealed his wooden and zinc coffin with red wax before it was lowered into a tomb. Cardinal Kelvin Farrell, acting as Camerlengo, sprinkled the coffin with holy water while a reproduction of Francis' pectoral cross was placed above the simple gravesite. Honoring his wishes for humility, the tomb is modest and unadorned, bearing only the Latin inscription of Franciscus. It is positioned near the altar of St. Francis, a symbol of the Pope's lifelong devotion to simplicity and service. And finally, on sport, world record holder in the women's 100-meter hurdles, Tobiamuson, will compete in the season's opener of this year's Diamond League in China on Saturday, marking her first race in the hurdles since crashing out of the Paris Olympics in August 2024. Amuson was confirmed as one of the entrants for the Xiamen Diamond League last week. The three-times Diamond League winner has led the low life of the tracks and returned for her first race of the season in the 100 meters last month, running a season best of 11.28 seconds to win the Velocity First 16 in Kingston, Jamaica. Amuson, who currently sits 13th in the global ranking, will face fierce competition in the 100-meter hurdles. And Team Nigeria has wrapped up its participation at the 2025 Africa Senior Weightlifting Championship in Mocha, Mauritius, with a stunning haul of 18 medals, which includes 13 gold, 4 silver and 1 bronze, cementing its status as a continental powerhouse in the sport. Nigeria's final day of competition saw Sarah deliver a show-stopping performance in the women's 76 kg weight class, lifting a combined total of 237 kg in the snatch, clean and jerk. A flawless execution earned the nation 3 more gold medals and drew roaring applause from the crowd as she closed out Nigeria's campaign in style. And those are the stories we have on our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I'm Tamilore Akinkolie. See you again next time.